All right, so we are back, and it's controversy going on right now in the UFC. UFC Seattle just ended, and the main event, Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong, is one of the freakiest, most anticlimactic endings of a otherwise fantastic UFC card that was filled full of stoppages and knockouts and star-making performances and all types of awesome stuff. The main event, unfortunate, it happened in a way that no one anticipated, and honestly is no fighter's fault, in my opinion. Maybe not even a referee's fault. It's just a freak accident of what happened. But Song Yadong wins a technical decision victory over Henry Cejudo based on essentially an accidental eye poke that was very bad, in my opinion, and resulted in Henry not being able to continue the fight. But that's not even the most chaotic train wreck part of this, because people online in the MMA sphere are calling Henry Cejudo, the man that lost this fight, a quitter, and someone that tried to manipulate the rules to get a victory instead of just a fighter that got poked directly in his eyeballs and had trouble seeing to the point where he could not continue. And I just think we've gotten to a point in MMA social media where people are not in touch with reality because there is no sensibility of what a fighter's going through versus what you're seeing sitting on your couch. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. So like I said, Henry Cejudo, Song Yadong. This fight was 2.5 rounds in. Song Yadong was winning this fight. I think there was 2 judges that actually had him up 2-0 going into that third round. It was clear to me that he was winning this, even though it may have been, closer rounds in the second. And in the third round, you could argue that he was also winning that round to potentially go up 3-0. I think one judge was about to give Henry the third round, and one judge had potentially given Henry an earlier round. MMA judging, it's going to be all over the place. That's how combat sports judging works. Regardless, there is a couple of moments in this fight, accidental, but twice Song Yadong low blows Henry Cejudo. And again, accidental or not, when things become repetition, you expect some points taken away because they are fouls at the end of the day. Now, at this point in the fight is where things start to get a little dicey because Henry Cejudo lunges in with a straight left hand, and Song Yadong, out of orthodox, frames to try to stop Henry from landing the attack. And when he does, not one, but both of his fingers go into not one, but both of Henry Cejudo's eyes. This will be important for later because everyone is acting as though Henry got poked in just one eyeball, when in fact, he got poked in 2. His left seeming like the worst one, but his right eye absolutely got poked as well. Jason Herzog, who is one of the best refs in the game, then immediately comes over to Henry and stops the fight, tells him he has time to recover. And then we hear Henry say, yeah, it'd be great to recover now. It'd also be great if you take a fucking point from this guy, which I have no problem with him saying because he's frustrated that the guy has fouled him now for the 3rd time in the fight, and this one debilitating his vision. Yes, you get kicked in the nuts. That's fucking awful, and it's going to take you some time to recover, but eventually that pain will subside, and you can get back to it unless someone crushed your testicles or something. But we know the biggest compromise and one of the biggest things that halts fights immediately in the sport of MMA illegally is an eye poke, because it debilitates your vision, the 2 things you need as a base to fight. You have to be able to see. So yeah, I'd be a little frustrated too if someone poked me in the eyes after kicking me in the nuts twice and no point has been taken from them. Herzog does not take a point from Song Yadong. Instead, issues him a stern warning, which at this point, what the fuck are we doing? If someone commits a foul in another area and then commits a foul in a separate area, do they get warnings for every foul if it's committed in a different area? How about you've broken the rules as a broad base, a generalized thing, the rules of MMA 3 separate times, you get a point taken away. This is, again, not a shot at Song Yadong. He's framing, his fingers are out, it happens, but you got to take a point there. Regardless, during this point, Henry and Herzog are having conversations. At one point, Herzog's like, I don't think it's going to get much better in a couple of minutes. And Henry's like, you really don't think it will? And says something like, I've never been poked like this before, which is probably true. You don't really know how you're going to feel until you've actually been poked in the eye. Then he's saying at points like he'll be okay, it'll come back, meaning that his vision is still fucked up and he's hoping that it will come back, which again, you'd try to assume because you want to continue fighting because you want to win the fight. And then there's a point where Jason Herzog even says, be careful what you say to me, as if to say oh, if you say the wrong thing, the doctor's going to stop this. I don't know that a ref should be coaching a fighter as to what they should and shouldn't say. I get that Herzog is trying to look out for Henry, but it's not really your job to try to get a fighter to not say something they mean or to have them fake say something or keep it in. The doctor comes in to see Henry, and during this back and forth, Henry tells him, I think it's going to come back. I'll be okay in a little bit. The doctor, or I guess instructs maybe Jason Herzog to give Henry some water on a rag. and they're wiping water and what seems to be blood out of the eye of Henry Cejudo. Again, I don't really know how you fake that, and it ends up being the left eye of Henry that they're working on more because that one seems to be the one that was hurt worse. Regardless, Henry decides to take the full 5 minutes and continue fighting. And again, I saw online the idea that this was in some way for him to game the system and sneak out a technical decision victory. If this theory is correct, what people are saying is that he willingly in his mind went, okay, I'll finish till the end of the round, then say I can't compete and hope that I won the 3 rounds. When if you want to argue that if Henry continues on, then he can game the system and win, you have to also acknowledge that he more likely will lose because that's exactly what happened. And based on the fact that he was also not just the judge's scorecards down, clearly in every department of the fight losing, it doesn't make sense for him to potentially risk a loss, which he's already down on the cards with, to somehow, by the very small percentage chance, gain a win based off the performance he wasn't winning so far. Like, it doesn't make sense. There was no point taken, so there's no real way for Henry to make up that ground. And also, if Henry doesn't continue his fight right there in that moment, the fight will either be a DQ or a no contest. And in those cases, Henry either wins a DQ or he draws a no contest. He only can win or draw if he quits in that moment. Quits. Yet he continues the rest of the round. There's 1 minute and 16 seconds left in it, and he continues fighting. And people are saying this like it's a bad thing that he tried to continue fighting, that somehow that doesn't completely disprove their whole theory of him quitting because he did end up trying to fight for another 1 minute and 16 seconds. And what he found out when objects were moving toward his face again was that no, his vision was not going to come back and it wasn't safe for him to continue fighting. And by the way, when they restarted the action, again, I think it was an accident that Yadong poked him in the eye, but it wasn't an accident that he stuck his fingers directly straight back out while he was moving forward. I was like, dog, you just poked him in the eye. Put those fingers up, man. But regardless, Henry gets to the corner and tells his corner that his vision is blurry in his left eye and that he's seeing 2 of Yadong out there. And he looks at the doctor and says, and so does his corner, hey, you need to get in here and look at him again. Doctor gets in there and looks at him again. Herzog is talking to both the doctor, Henry, the other corners, and I think Bruce Buffer, as if to say, listen, we need to start the 4th round so that we can go to a decision. I don't know if that's even his call to make. I thought that was a little presumptuous of Jason Herzog. Like, no, let's just get to the 4th round and then we'll do it. It almost like pushes Henry into the loss. Like, it's like, well, you're just kind of making the decision for him at that point. Like, again, like he kind of did when the stoppage happened the first time. He's like, be careful what you say to me. Herzog tried to handle it the best he could. He did his best with the doctor. He was communicative with both corners. I just thought in moments it was like, you're there to facilitate the show, not take the show over, not direct fighters or talk about we need to start the round to get a decision here. Like, that's the job of the doctor and the fighter. Can he continue? Can he not? If he says no, even after he gets to the corner, then we have to wave the fight off there, not start the next round, then call timeout, then wave the fight off. Very interesting kind of thing there. But the entire reason I made this video, because it shouldn't be a controversy about Henry Cejudo quitting or not, or that he was looking for a way out, or he was trying to game the system. The guy got 2 knuckles deep in his fucking eyeballs, took the full 5 minutes as any fighter should, asked as many questions as he felt relevant to try to gauge, can I even finish this fucking round? And gave it a go while he was seeing double. There was blood coming out of his eye or around his eye. Somewhere there was blood when they wiped that rag on him and the blood was on it. And honestly, it just shows me that MMA Twitter and people online, I'm just going to tell you guys, it's very much a community based on people that have no real life experience in any sort of situation close to this. Most of these people have never fought, never been eye poked in a fight, never understood what it means to quit in a fight. And I'm just saying that honestly. Most of the people that are the online fans are either kids or people that don't have much real life experience outside of their high school, their college, their parents' house, or their Wi-Fi. It's just a crazy, comfy couch take to say that Henry Cejudo, the man that fought and beat Demetrius Johnson when he was kicked in his perennial nerve and was going through foot drop throughout the first round of that fight, won an Olympic gold medal in potentially one of the hardest sports to win it in, wrestling, and became a 2-division world champ, was all of a sudden looking for a way out and trying to game the system. The reality of the situation for me is the guy got poked in both of his eyeballs badly and tried to take time to see if his vision would come back. And when the fight restarted, I think is when Henry went, oh shit, I can't see what this guy's throwing at me, because in the time he has to rest, no one is moving an object at him for his eyes to gauge what they can see in real time or not. No one's punching at him. No one's kicking at him. No one's running at him or physically trying to attack him. So you can put your hand up and it can be there, or you could do the 1, 2, 3 or whatever it is that they do, and you could potentially see that enough as a still target to sit there and be like, okay, well, that thing is there. And until someone's punching you or moving at you or trying to attack you, and you have to use that eye or both of those eyes potentially that are still compromised, you truly won't know. And for anybody that hasn't had to deal with it, to sit outside of the cage and be like, that guy's a quitter, what a disgrace and all this, and he was looking for a way out, I think it's fucking horseshit and complete buffoonery. And the whole decision on Herzog to like try to silence Henry at one point and then try to start the fight back, I think it was just a calamity of things that added up. Everybody tried to do their best. It went the way it went, and sometimes these things happen. But you guys let me know down below what you think. Am I the one with the crazy take here, or has the MMA Twitter got to take a step back and say, maybe not every fighter that can't continue is a big quitter and a fraud and a phony, and maybe if we don't have the experience of being in that situation, we shouldn't act like we do and start pointing the finger down at fighters who do this to make their living, being quitters and looking for easier ways out, when we, the people watching, have the easiest way out. To just talk behind the screen and have no idea what sacrifice or persevering through tribulation even looks like to begin with. That's my take. You guys let me know. I'll see you next time. Peace.